In this episode of the Soul Method podcast, we do have some adult language. So if you have little ones around, grab your headphones now.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic light.
Hi everyone, Joelle Fawcett here, and I am your host and founder of the Soul Method, where our mission is to be your guide to heal from the past, be at peace in the present, and create a future you love. And welcome to episode 10 of the Soul Method podcast. 10. I don't know why 10 feels like a huge accomplishment to me, but I'm excited about it, clearly. So this episode is titled, Can I Take Your Order? And like I said in the last episode, this is the second part of a short mini-series on manifesting romantic relationships. Whether you are looking to bring a new partner into your life, or you are interested in leveling up a committed relationship that you are already in. So, in the last episode, episode 9, which was titled How to Lose a Guy or Gal in 10 Days, I covered step 1 of the 3-step process we are walking through to manifest a romantic relationship. And if you did not listen or watch episode 9 yet and begin to put those steps into action in your own life, stop here, cut the recording, cut the YouTube video, and go back and do it. Because to be straight up with you guys, the information that I am going to give you in this episode will not do you any good unless you lay the foundation with the information that I covered in episode 9. Because that foundation is what is going to allow you to manifest in a healthy and authentic way. Okay? Now, after you've dealt with yourself, you've dealt with how you've been showing up in the past in romantic relationships, and began the process of giving yourself all of the emotional needs that you have. You begin to give yourself the love, the trust, the worthiness, all of those things. That is step 1. Step 2 to manifesting a romantic relationship is to put your order in with the universe. And then step 3, which we will also cover in this episode, is how to ask for a sign. Now, what do I mean by put your order in with the universe? So, let me ask you, what do you actually want in a partner? What do you actually want in a relationship? Now, if you didn't do step 1 that I covered in episode 9, most likely you are going to say things like, I want someone to love me. I want someone to make me happy. I want someone to make me feel special, and a lot of other codependent crap. So we're not doing that. We're not interested in that anymore. Go back and do step 1 if even those thoughts are coming to your mind. Now, most of the time in a coaching situation when I'm working with clients, and they come to me and they say, hey, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to start a new relationship. I want to start looking for this person. I want to start manifesting a romance in my life. I'll say, awesome, that's great. What do you want in a partner? And they'll kind of stare at me like the question is really confusing. And I think we have this stigma in our culture that the answer to this question should be obvious. But the reality is that it is not, because we are all very different people. And the person who is going to best complement your most authentic self at your current season of life is going to be a very specific person. So here's where we actually get into the next foundational principle of the SoL method, which is every relationship is an assignment designed by the universe to bring you closer to a state of love and away from the state of identifying with fear and separation of the ego. This is actually a concept that comes from the metaphysical text, A Course in Miracles, where it states that there are no chance encounters, that everyone in your life has purpose, and that purpose is to return you to a state of love through that relationship. And I completely agree with this. I've said it before, I really don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe in chance. And I believe that the people in your life right now are there for a reason. And I also believe that this is why we see people repeat the same relationship drama over and over and over again with several different partners until they finally learn that thing that they needed to learn to be able to create something new. So, for step 2, to put your order in with the universe, I want you to physically write down your list of what you want in a future partner and in a future relationship. And I know that this may be weird. It might be a little weird at first to do this. I get it. And I remember feeling the same way when my coach asked me to do this when I was manifesting the relationship that I currently have with Joe, who is my boyfriend. But think about it this way. This is where you get to design what you want your future assignment to look like. How would you love this assignment to go? Get as specific as you can and literally put your order in with the universe. Now, why do this? Why get specific? Why physically write it down? So here's the thing. The universe cannot give you what you don't know that you want. And most often, we continue to repeat the same drama in our lives because we live out of our past. And what I mean by this is that biologically, it's well known that the neurons in the brain that are wired together are the ones that most often fire together. So the neurons on our brain are web-like masses. They kind of look like the branches of a tree. And these neurons are what electric currents travel on. These electric currents literally are thought. And this thought is what becomes the mind. This is what becomes our dreams, our memories, our visions for the future, etc., etc. The more a thought runs down a neuron tree, the stronger it physically gets, and it will wrap itself around other neurons that are firing at the same time. So, for example, this is how this plays into our life, okay? Have you ever been driving home and you kind of start daydreaming, you get lost in thought, and then suddenly You're pulling in the driveway and you actually have no physical recollection of driving home, right? That's because these neurons for driving home have fired together so many times that your conscious mind doesn't need to be present in order for the physical action to take place. Your subconscious mind has just taken over, and your body knows exactly what to do to get you there. Now, that's all well and good if you're wanting to drive home. However, so many people who are looking to manifest a new relationship in their life actually want to drive to a vacation spot, but they don't know where they want to go. So their subconscious mind just takes over and voila, you're pulling in the driveway again. And you're back home, aka you're back in a very similar relationship to the one that you just left, because that literally is how our brain functions. Now, you can apply this example to anything that you do regularly, whether it's driving, showering, brushing your teeth, etc., etc. And an expert on this topic is Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I highly recommend all of his books if you're interested in the scientific backing of manifestation. Particularly this book, for those of you who are just listening, I'm holding it up right now, Becoming Supernatural. And Dr. Joe is a scientist first. He was a chiropractor by trade, and after a series of events that dramatically changed his life, he began to study epigenetics. In this book, Becoming Supernatural, he describes the hardwiring of the habits in our brain and actually how dangerous they are if we want to create anything in our future that isn't a replica of our past. He says in here, quote, "If you keep doing the same routines over and over again, they will become a habit. A habit is a redundant set of automatic, unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that you acquire through frequent repetition. Basically, it means that your body is now on autopilot, running a series of programs, and over time, your body becomes the mind. You've done this routine so many times that your body automatically knows how to do certain things better than your brain or subconscious mind, or conscious mind, excuse me. You just switch on the autopilot and go unconscious, which means you'll wake up the next morning and essentially do the same things all over again. In a very real sense, your body is dragging you into the same predictable future based on what you have been repeatedly doing in the same familiar past. You will think the same thoughts and then make the same choices that lead to the same behaviors that create the same experiences that produce the same emotions. Over time, you've created a set of hardwired neurological networks in the brain, and you have emotionally conditioned your body to live in the past. And that past becomes your future. So, if we want to create something new in our future, we must emotionally release the past, do step one, and intentionally create an image of a new future and connect it to a new set of emotions. So, I want you to put your order in with the universe. Be specific. And let's be clear, it is not about the how, okay? It's never about the how. Forget trying to figure out how you're going to meet this person, how you'll find them, how long it will take, etc., etc. The how is always up to the universe. Your job is to know the what. So, what does this person look like? What do they smell like? What's their personality like? Are they more type A or type B? What do you enjoy doing with this person? What are their hobbies? What do they do for fun? What kind of conversations do you have? What are their sexual preferences? Are they an early bird or a night owl? Are you similar or are you a case of opposites attract? Do they have a big social network or are they more of a lone bird? What's their family like? How old are they? What other relationships do they have in their life and what do those relationships look like? How do they celebrate holidays? Are they religious or spiritual in any way? Do they have kids? What's their political beliefs? What foods do they enjoy? Literally, you want to get into the nitty-gritty here, folks. Okay? I want you to write down 30 things about this person. And then that's where the magic will really start to happen. Because after those 30 things, which are the most obvious things, you're really going to have to get into it with yourself. What do you want in a partner? The next 30 things are always the things that are going to be the most creative and most connected to the deepest part of your authentic self. Now, I want to be clear. Yes, you have to write it down. It's always amazing to me how many people resist this. Write the damn list down. Okay? No one else besides you is going to see it. So it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how crazy or how kinky it is. Write the damn list down. And side note, and I plan to do an entire episode on this topic. Never forget how powerful speaking and writing are, which is another reason why you must write this list down. Words, both spoken and written, carry a vibration with them. And this vibration has the power to physically change the chemical makeup of molecules. I'm not lying here. It's insane, the science behind this. So, this is why, actually, in history, why we call the writing of words spelling. That goes back to the concept of casting spells over your life. So again, write your list down. Now, my coach challenged me to do this the day after Christmas in 2020. So about a year and a half ago. And honestly, I spent a lot of time writing this list down. I actually did 2 lists because I wasn't really sure if my future partner was going to be a man or a woman. And for me, the partner I wanted to manifest in a man looked very different than the partner I wanted to manifest in a woman, for obvious reasons, I hope. So I spent a lot of time writing these lists, editing them, thinking about them, meditating on them, etc., etc. And I was very intentional about this for quite a while, and over time, I kind of forgot about them. Until about 3 months into me and Joe dating. And I revisited the list that I had made for the potential man as a partner in my future. And I was shocked. What I had written down completely describes Joe in kind of a beyond creepy way. And yes, I did share it with him and proceeded to freak him out a little bit. So some of the things that are on that list, I will share with you because I really want you to encourage you to be specific and ask for what you want. The universe doesn't take vague orders, and it won't give you what you don't ask for. Beware of this. The universe might give you things you don't want if you aren't specific about it. For example, some gaping holes in my list were: does he smoke? Does he have roommates? How close does he live to me? And does he have a vehicle with 4 wheels? Now, do I dislike the answers to any of these questions? No, they're not an insanely big deal to me. However, when Joe and I first started dating, he was only riding his motorcycle. He didn't have a vehicle with 4 wheels, which wasn't really always convenient. And the man will probably smoke until his dying day. Not a big deal to me. And I lucked out with the roommates that he has, but he does have them, which means I'm often making certain sounds into a pillow, if you catch my drift. And while I'm really glad that he doesn't live super far away from me, driving a half hour to see him isn't always super convenient, and vice versa. He has to drive a half hour to me right now. So again, does it bother me? No. And I would never have chosen anyone else. But I say that all to say, be specific. If you have things that are important to you, write them down. You know, if I was severely allergic to cigarette smoke and I had still neglected to write that down and Joe showed up in my life, I would have been super frustrated by that situation, right? So, some things that I did write down that are incredibly specific to Joe as a person. He is not a loner. He has a large social network that is important to him. And you'll notice you want to write these down in the present state. You don't want to write it into the future like they will have. You want to write it as if it is happening right now. Okay? So he is not a loner. He has a large social network that is important to him. He likes to be the center of attention. He's not shy or a wallflower. He is not committed to a strict diet or lifestyle, aka he's not vegan, he's not vegetarian, he's not raw, and boy did the universe deliver on that one. He doesn't have a big family because my family is big enough for the both of us. He works with his hands and has rough hands. He has bright golden brown eyes, dark hair, and can grow a beard like a motherfucker. And is not a giant. So I'm just really not into guys that are like super crazy muscly and have veins popping out. I don't like feeling like I'm 12 when I stand next to my man. It's just not my thing. He is committed to having healthy relationships in his life, and he dislikes drama and intentionally stays away from it. He has similar political and spiritual views as I do. He is not committed to a conservative religion or lifestyle. He rides a motorcycle, owns and shoots firearms, has tattoos, and just generally isn't squeaky clean. Again, I'm just really not into guys who aren't on the rougher side of things. He is currently in the military or was in the military or has a very high respect for people in the military. I left that one pretty open. Again, for those of you who know Joe, the universe delivered beyond recognition for that one. The last one I'll share is that the energy of our personalities match. I am not the biggest personality when we are together. So there were lots of other things on this list. And let me tell you, it got personal. So write that shit down. AKA, if your sex life is important to you, put it down. Now, I'm not going to share all of that. But based on this, for those of you who do know Joe, you know that the universe completely delivered. Joe has a huge social tribe that I've become a part of. He is definitely not a wallflower. He dislikes drama. We have similar, not identical, political and spiritual beliefs. He's Norse pagan. I'm a witch. Some of the things that are just beyond obvious are, the motorcycle, the military, brown eyes, et cetera, et cetera. Hence, why just over a year ago when Joe and I reconnected, I knew that it was him and that I had manifested this relationship. Now, I'm going to go on a bit of a side note, slightly irrelevant story. And this is only going to be for people of you who watch the video on YouTube. This isn't going to go on the audio. But so I just said that for my own spiritual beliefs, I tell people that I'm a witch. And a little while ago, I was in the hospital because I had a kidney infection. And there's just nothing like the look on a young nurse's face when they are doing all of the intake stuff. And they ask you all of these questions, beyond your address, your name. They ask you your political and your spiritual beliefs. And I felt so bad for this kid. It was a young nurse and he was like really fresh. You know what I mean? And when you tell them that you're a witch, oh boy, I'm so sorry, dude out there. I think his name was Eric. I'm so sorry if I freaked you out. Clearly, we don't all wear pointy hats. Either way. Moving on. Now, if you are already in a committed relationship, you may be asking, how do I apply this list writing exercise to me? I still want you to write a list, but I want you to write it from the perspective of all the amazing things you want to bring into your relationship to take it to the next level. Write about the vacations you want to take together, the conversations you want to have, the places you want to grow personally to support your partner, and the dreams that you have as an individual and as a couple. For example, it might be your dream to start a business, but that's not your partner's dream. Awesome. Write down how you plan to start a business or take a class or travel to the place. And that space then can also allow your partner to pursue the things that he or she is passionate about. Write down that dream too. Also, I will say this. If you're reflecting on this exercise and you're in a committed relationship and you're realizing that what you're writing down is not the relationship that you're in, just think about that. I'm not saying to end the relationship in any way, but I am saying that if what you want and what you've manifested are completely different, there's a disconnect between your authentic self and how you're showing up to the relationship. And you need to be responsible for that. That is 100% not on the other person, that is on you. So I'm going to do an entire episode on how to be responsible for inauthenticity in a relationship. However, if you're there right now and you feel like you need support or you want me to walk you through that a little bit, go ahead and shoot me an email or hit me up on the Soul Method Facebook page. Okay. So remember, this relationship that you're manifesting or the one that you're in is an assignment for the purpose to bring you and the other person closer to your authentic states of love and to dissolve fear-based belief systems. When we view relationships as assignments, they become dynamic. They are constantly shifting, growing, changing, and as we shift and grow and change, we are able to up-level and return to those authentic states of love. And that's all to say that always keep in mind that nothing that is healthy in the universe is static. Everything that's healthy is always moving, growing, and up-leveling in one way or another. The same way that the seasons change is the same way that our lives are designed to grow. And without that, most likely, we need to revisit where we're not being responsible and authentic in the way that we're showing up in a relationship. So once you are satisfied with your list, and remember, no one's going to see it besides you, and it doesn't have to be a finished thing. You can always change, modify, edit, whatever you want to do. The next piece of this, putting your order in with the universe, is that I really want you to be with this person at an emotional level in your mind and your body. Now, you can do this however it shows up best for you. For some of you out there, I know you're meditators or that's something that you're interested in. You can do this as a formal meditation. Or if that's not your thing, you can do this more along the lines of daydreaming. But I want you to read your list over regularly, at least once a day for several weeks. And imagine, what would it be like to meet this person? How will you feel? And how grateful will you be to the universe for bringing him or her into your life? Now, this doesn't have to take a long time. When I was doing this, I literally put my list right by my bed, and I would take 10 minutes before I fell asleep and read my list over and imagine emotionally and mentally how I would be meeting that person. Imagine going on a walk with them, going out to dinner. Imagine holding their hand. Imagine laughing together. The emotional part here is 100% the key. Okay? I need you to take a breath when you're going into this and really allow yourself to let those emotions fill you as you imagine being with this person. The reason the emotions are so important is because that is what rewires the neurons in our brain, not to just subconsciously go along that track of recreating our familiar past, because we don't want that anymore. I'm assuming if you want to manifest a new relationship in your life, that you're not wanting to go on repeat with the relationship that you just left, right? So far, our steps to manifesting or up-leveling a relationship are: step 1, emotionally deal with yourself and give yourself all the things that you previously sought your partner to give you. Things like love, joy, happiness. You fill all of those emotional needs for you so that your bucket is full. Step 2, put your order in with the universe and imagine and feel what it will be like to be in a relationship with the person that you described. Now, for our final step. Step 3, ask the universe for a sign. So I probably need to back up here a little bit and go through a handful of things when it comes to asking for a sign. Based on my own psychic medium experience, as well as the collective experience of lots of people that I know and I've seen that spirit speaks and guides us far more often than we realize. And more often than not, spirit cannot wait to communicate with us. We all have spirit guides that walk through life with us, and we often have loved ones that watch over us. So I'm not going to go crazy in depth in this episode about this topic. I promise I will be doing a future episode about spirit guides and communicating with them. But we are going to establish the basis that spirit is constantly speaking with the intention to make manifest the greatest good. Now, a question I always get, are there dark energies out there or evil spirits? Yep, there are. Do I work with them? Not intentionally. As the old adage goes, what you go looking for, you most likely will find. So if you go looking for dark energy, you probably are going to find it. However, I've learned over time how to establish very strict levels of engagement with spirit, and I encourage you to do the same thing. Setting a boundary with spirit is very simple. All you do is set your intention that unless somebody is coming to you from the light, that you are simply not interested in communicating with them. Now, like I said, I will be doing a future episode on this topic. But if you want more information about it now, go ahead, shoot me an email, hit me up on the Soul Method Facebook page, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Now, based on this information, I want you to ask either your spirit guides, if you're familiar with that concept, or just the universe in general, for a sign, either when you meet this person or if you're up-leveling your current relationship, that a sign that you are manifesting your intentions. So when I say ask for a sign, this is what I want you to do. Find a moment when you have 10 interrupted minutes, just 10. Take 3 grounding breaths and let your heart rate slow down. Close your eyes if that feels right to you and ask the universe, what sign should I be looking for? And wait. Spirit uses our imaginations to communicate with us, and often this process won't take 10 minutes. The first thing that comes to your mind or that you notice that is not a normal train of thought, something that kind of pops into your head randomly, is often spirit speaking to you. Don't ignore it. For example, maybe you found your 10 minutes on a break at work. So you go out to your car, you sit down, you roll down the windows, you let the sun wash over your face, you take some breaths, you find stillness, and you ask spirit, what sign should I look for? And then you randomly notice a blue butterfly flutter over the hood of your car. Another example might be you're settling into bed and the kids are asleep. You close your eyes, you're grounding yourself, and you ask, Spirit, what sign should I look for? And maybe there's silence. So you sit, you listen to your breathing. A few minutes pass and your mind starts to wander a little bit. And then a song kind of comes into your head, a song that you heard a little while ago on the radio. Now, if you feel like you receive an image or a sign, don't get trapped in the how, okay? Don't get trapped in the idea that this sign is going to show up in a certain way. For example, the blue butterfly may not be a fluttering bird blue butterfly when it shows up as your sign. It could show up as a picture on the wall or in a shirt design or as a tattoo, right? It could manifest as a sign in many different ways. Keep your mind open and always be grateful for the guidance that you receive. Now, if this is your first time doing this, don't get frustrated with yourself if it feels like spirit isn't speaking loud and clear. Often it takes a little bit of time to trust our intuition and catch the signs that our guides give to us. Do your best to relax into the process and trust that when it's time for you to receive a sign, that your guides will speak to you. The last thing that you want to do is bring anxiety into this process. Okay. There's an amazing woman and author named Gabrielle Bernstein. Gabby, I love you. You're amazing. And she talks about manifestation a lot. And she talks about somebody who brings this sense of panic into manifestation and calls it manic manifesting. And I absolutely love this because I've seen this and I've experienced this in my life. I've been a manic manifester before. So manic manifesting looks like those of you, and I know you're out there. These are, if you're sitting out there, you've already ordered a journal that you can't, you're using for your list. It's being rushed delivered. You've ordered color coordinated pencils to write your list. You've already ordered 10 books on spirit guides of the universe and manifesting because you're afraid that you're going to do it wrong. That's what this manic energy comes out of, this fear of doing it wrong. And you're so on it all the time, and you're thinking about it all the time, and you're making your list, and you just don't want to do it wrong. That's crazy. Don't bring that energy into manifestation. You don't want more of that. That is not trust. We want to relax and breathe into the process. Notice any frustration that comes up, witness it with love, and release it. And trust, again, that the universe is going to give you your sign when you're ready. And a little side note here. When spirit speaks to you, it speaks in your own voice. Okay, I know from like the movies, we expect this like disembodied voice to come into our heads. That's not how spirit speaks, at least not regularly. I do know people who have had that experience. And I'm not saying it never happens, but what I am saying is that more often than not, spirit will speak to you in your own voice. Okay. Now, for me, when I did this, when I was going through this process, I got grounded, closed my eyes, got in touch with my spirit guides who I know very well. And I asked them for a sign. I'd like a sign, please. And my one spirit guide said to me, "You'll know." I was like, what the fuck? I'd like a sign, please. He responded, "Stop arguing. You'll know." Great. I'll just know. But I went with it despite my sarcasm. And I trusted that my guides would speak clearly in the moment, that I would know when I met my person and when the time was right. So the night that Joe and I reconnected was at a party that was hosted by my sister. And Joe and I had actually met twice before. So that's what's interesting about this. This wasn't a new person walking into my life. I've met him before twice. We sat down on Christmas morning and talked for like 2 hours before we reconnected that night. But neither of us were in a place in our lives to see the other person as a potential partner. So at this party, I didn't really know a lot of people there. I just knew my family members who had been invited. And I arrived before Joe did. And for those of you who know, Joe and I, this happened at the VFW. And I was standing to the side when Joe walked in the door. And honestly, when he walked in, I didn't recognize him. But the moment that my eyes fell on him, I felt my entire energy field shift. And I actually experienced this weird sense of vertigo. And I heard that voice in my mind say, "That's him." And I knew that he was who I was waiting for. And then I recognized him, which was probably funny. I don't know if he remembers the expression on my face as he walked in the door and I went through this entire process, but I probably looked a little bit like a deer in the headlights. And, it's interesting. I really kind of believe that this is what people experience when they say they experience love at first sight. I don't think it's love. Because remember, we should have already filled our love bucket. But I do believe in this internal knowing. And honestly, I've never experienced anything like that moment in my life. Now, the irony is, looking back, before I even left for the party that night, Spirit was already speaking to me. It was saying, "You're not coming home tonight. You might want to wear matching socks and, put on some sexier under things." And the voice in my head was incredibly strong. Now, did I listen? Absolutely not. I talked back to myself, to Spirit, and said, "Yo, I'm not a one night stand kind of girl, number one. So no one's going to be seeing my socks because I'm not taking my boots off, much less pulling me out of this dress." Yeah, that was definitely the last time that I argued with Spirit. Now, just because I knew that I had manifested this in my life, did Joe and I start dating that night? No. Did we start dating the following week? Nope. When you receive your sign, be grateful to the universe. And also, please don't be a weirdo, okay? Give everyone else around you the space to catch up and trust that everything is going to unfold in the perfect timing of the universe. Remember, you manifested the what. Let the universe continue to manifest the how. So, to review our 3 steps. Step 1, emotionally deal with yourself and give yourself all of the things that you previously looked for your partner to give you. Step 2, put your order in with the universe and imagine and emotionally go to the place of what it will be like to be in relationship with the person that you described in your list. And step 3, ask for a sign. Ask the universe for a sign and trust that you will receive your sign in the perfect timing of the universe. Now, as we bring this episode to a close, I would love to hear from you. What's this episode bringing up for you? If you write your list down, please let me know. What was that process like for you? What questions do you have? If there is any way that I can support you, definitely reach out. As always, I'm here for you. If you'd like to work with me or you have other questions or are just curious about some things, let me know. You can hit me up on the Soul Method Facebook page, which is at the Soul Method Yoga, or you can email me at Joelle, which is JOELLE, at the.SoL.method.com. And with that, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your week. Until next time.